Hello again and welcome to another Mordy and Glory bolt action video. In today's episode, I want to talk about the exciting announcement from Warlord Games that Bolt Action 3rd Edition is incoming. It is happening. It is no longer rumor. It shall be here before the end of the year. Now, of course, this is very exciting news for current Bolt Action players, but it's also amazing news for new players as well. There's nothing like a new edition of a game system coming out to reinvigorate interest in a game. And so what I want to do with today's episode is build on that hype. I want to go through the press releases and other things that Warlord Games has put out about Bolt Action 3rd Edition and pick out and highlight some of the best bits and some of the crucial information that is in these articles. Of course, I'll make sure there's a link down in the description below to the main announcement that Warlord Games has put out on their website. So the first thing that I noticed in this press release is that Warlord Games seems to be really putting an emphasis on what they've learned over the last few years of Bolt Action. They say that the game's been out for nearly 16 years, and in that time they've had lots of lessons learned from thousands upon thousands of games and of course all of your feedback. This is great to hear. Unlike sometimes I feel like Games Workshop and Warhammer 40k where the edition just comes out every cycle and they change it for the sake of changing it, this feels like Warlord Games have been slowly baking this new edition in the oven for a while now. I mean, I think I've only ever played 2nd edition Bolt Action and I've been playing this game for years, and so they've been slowly cooking it in the oven, gathering the feedback and learning from it, and they've actually listened to the community. Hopefully this isn't just a platitude. Hopefully this actually is a sincere statement, because it would be great to see some of the big questions and the big issues with Bolt Action being addressed. And there's nothing really that bad about Action. It's actually a very, very good game, and I actually find the rules very intuitive. There's videos out there where I think Mini War Game did a video where they were like, oh, you can learn this game in like 10 minutes, and they did, and it was amazing. But there's a couple of unanswered things, a couple of things that do annoy the community. For example, medium machine gun teams could really do with being a little bit more impactful, and the general layout of the book does seem a little haphazard. You have to check 4 different areas to find the full impact of how the different rules work together. So I do think that there is definitely some room for improvement, and hopefully if they have been listening to feedback, those are probably my 2 big things I'd like to see fixed. Medium machine gun teams being more impactful, and I'd like to see the rules being more streamlined. The next thing that really jumped out to me from the article was that it was written by Alessio Cavator. Now, Alessio is a big name in war games design and in writing some of the favorite tabletop games that are out there right now. He was one of the lead writers on the Warhammer Lord of the Rings strategy battle game, a game which has basically been unchanged since it's come out, and to this day has a very popular and competitive tournament scene. I did not realize how big the Lord of the Rings competitive scene was, but it is thriving. They get events. I was at Element Games today, and there was an event there that was for Lord of the Rings that was bigger than the 40k event that was there, and I was going around chatting to the people, and there was like a genuine meta. There were like cookie cutter armies and all this kind of stuff, and that was a game that was written ages ago, and that was written by Alessio, so it's a big deal that he's on this project. And it sounds, I obviously he wrote a big deal with he wrote a lot of the original Bolt Action stuff as well, but it really does sound like Alessio has kind of been given free reign with this new project. Maybe he was just the lead writer or something, but if you read through the article word by word, it sounds like he's written this thing single-handedly. So just sort of picking a paragraph out from the article: written by renowned games designer and veteran of previous editions Alessio Cavator, Bolt Action 3rd Edition features a whole host of revised and updated rules to provide the most enjoyable games possible, whilst maintaining the essential spirit of Bolt Action that we all know and love. Now, obviously, there are advantages to a game system being written by one person. A singular vision, not too many chefs in the kitchen, and often something written by committee or with too many people involved can end up being bland and formless. It's basically the equivalent of tabletop gruel. Naturally, of course, there are some potential weaknesses, there are some blind spots that the designer may not have taken into account, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case with Bolt Action 3rd Edition. This is an experienced person using decades of game design to create what is going to be the next iteration of one of the best tabletop war games out there at the moment. So I am very confident, and Alessio's name being on this first and foremost up front center in essentially the first part of the article, I think is a really, really good sign. On top of this, we do have a statement from Alessio which gives a few hints at the direction that Bolt Action 3rd Edition is going in. Working on this new edition of Bolt Action has been a treat, but also a challenge. I saw my mission as trying to make my favourite game an even better experience for the players. For me, there's always one goal in mind: continuing my quest for a truly seamless set of wargame rules. In other words, the holy grail of a rule system where the players are always thinking about their next moves on the table and not about the rules of the game. I think Bolt Action 3rd Edition is definitely a big step in that direction, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. I can guarantee you now that this is going to be music to the ears of so many Bolt Action fans. The current rules are very intuitive for when you're just playing a small game in a relatively stand-up fight, but there definitely is some convolution in the current 2nd edition book. Like I said, you tend to find that rules and interactions can be spread over 4 different areas, and there's no references like, go to page here, go to page here. You just kind of have to know that, oh, this rule interacts with this rule, so you go from this page to this page. Hopefully, what this is saying is that the 3rd edition book is going to be much more concise, and linked rules and rules that interact with each other are going to be much more clearly marked or kept all in one place. This is a really good sign, and it definitely links back into what they were saying before about how they've listened to feedback from the community. Now, up until this point, a lot of what the article has been addressing or talking about has been what I would call like soft factors, like the game is going to be improved, it's going to be seamless. But then we get into some hard facts and some hard statements. So firstly, they say that the game is going to be out in late September of this year. So this is a 2024 release. That is a big deal. That's not very far away at all. They also confirmed that not only has the game been refined and updated, but they are fundamentally changing and completely reworking army list selection. That is a big deal. A lot of people, especially a lot of tournaments, have kind of evolved around this concept of a single reinforced platoon with a dice cap limit. All of that could be up in the air. I suspect that part of this is going to be because of how many different theatre selectors that are available right now. If you go on Bolt Action Easy Army, which is a website that is kind of like Battle Scribe for Bolt Action, you will find, and you go on any faction, you select create new list, there are, for some factions, dozens upon dozens upon dozens of different theatre selectors and different ways and platoons that you can build your army, and it probably has got a little bit out of hand. So I suspect what they're doing here, and I've no inside information here, but I suspect what this means is we're sort of going back to basics. We're going to trim down to just a handful of new theatre selectors, a handful of generic platoons, and so we can start streamlining things so you guys as new players know that when you join a game, when you start a game, when you play a game with your friends, what you'll be able to do is know that he's using a selector and you're also using a similar selector as well. Warlord Games also confirms that the pre-order for Bolt Action 3rd Edition will be in July 2024, which is really not very far away at all. And with this idea of pre-orders, I think we're not just going to see a new rulebook, I think we're going to see a new starter set as well. Now, the big question is going to be, what direction do they take that starter set in? Some of the older starter sets, like Band of Brothers and Island Assault, haven't been too balanced and have been more narratively themed. Band of Brothers, for example, has just got a handful of American troops and a few German grenadiers and a single half-track in there. And neither side is particularly well balanced into the other. Same with Island Assault. But Gentleman's War, which is the more recent starter set that Warlord Games put out, is very balanced. Essentially, you have exactly 24 German troops versus exactly 24 British troops, and both sides get one armoured car. And it's been very popular and very well received. I would hope that if we were to get a starter set for 3rd edition, it would be more in the Gentleman's War vein with 2 balanced armies rather than in the vein of Band of Brothers or Island Assault, where the armies are less balanced and perhaps slightly more narrative. Personally, as a more competitive player, I think that having a more balanced box set is more enticing for new people coming over to the game, especially if you've got people coming over from other game systems like 40k, because they want to see 2 armies which they can play with their friends and both sides will have a reasonable chance of victory. They don't want to see 2 unbalanced factions where one side's basically always going to win. So fingers crossed we get a Gentleman's War-esque style starter set. Now in the article, Warlord Games has confirmed that your existing models and armies will fit into 3rd edition, and they've made a lot of effort and put a lot of work into ensuring that the majority of 2nd edition armies fit into the new force selection system with minimal additions. So you won't easily go out and buy a whole bunch of new stuff. But they have said that they have fundamentally reworked the points costs and rules on a lot of individual units. So whilst you don't have to go out and buy new models, there may be a unit out there which previously you dismissed and thought, that's not very good, I'm not going to bother with that, and they've tweaked it to try and make it more appealing. Or there might be a current auto include unit which they've tried to balance out a little bit and go, look, this isn't necessarily something you want to put in your list every single time anymore. Long story short, new edition equals new points, new rules, and new opportunities to expand your bolt action collection. One very important bit of information in this article is regarding to the rulebooks. Firstly, they confirm that the bolt action 3rd edition rulebook will completely supersede bolt action 2nd edition and immediately do so as well. And also all of the existing army of books. If you've got armies of Great Britain, armies of Soviet Union, those are no longer going to be relevant. This is a big change from bolt action went from 1st edition to 2nd edition. In that change, a lot of the army books remained relevant and you didn't need to buy a new Soviet rulebook, you didn't need to buy a new British rulebook if you were getting into 2nd edition. You just needed to buy the new core rulebook. What they're saying with 3rd edition is that's not the case. All your current army books are not going to be valid. So you are going to need to buy some new rulebooks as well as the main rulebook. I'm sure there are going to be some grumbles about this, but it is fairly typical when a new edition comes out that a new army book is going to have to be released alongside it. And I think it does show and does indicate that 3rd edition is not the same as 2nd edition. 3rd edition isn't just an improvement. 3rd edition isn't just we've tightened the rules up and we've clarified a few things. 3rd edition isn't just 2nd edition with an FAQ. 3rd edition is new, it's bespoke, it's unique, and it's exciting. Warlord has said that inside the rulebook there will be 5 starter army lists allowing players to get going straight away, and that these army lists will be for Great Britain, USA, USSR, Germany, and Imperial Japan. But the other factions, like France and Italy, for example, are going to have PDF downloads. So that's an interesting move. I hope that those PDF downloads are going to be free. I do think that moving towards free rules is good for tabletop wargaming in general. So fingers crossed that we do get some free PDFs and that Warlord Games is dipping its toe into that style of rules. But they have confirmed that there will be new army books for all of the other factions. So it's not going to be free PDF rules for everyone all the time throughout the edition. You get your rule book that gets you going. You got a PDF for some of the minor factions, but then expect to get a new army of book as 3rd edition marches on. Now, in addition to army of books and the main rule book, there has been an impact on the campaign and theatre books as well. Warlord says that a lot of these will remain valid as the background and scenarios are still very much relevant, but the vast majority of units contained within these books are going to be updated and addressed in the new Armies of book. This is really, really good news. It's so frustrating when you have like your army spread out over 3 or 4 different campaign and theatre books. Consolidating everything into one main Armies of book is great. That's really, really good news. Finally, we have 2 last little tidbits of information in this article. The first one is that the order dice activation system is still in place. That's not going to be changing, and that the usual use of D6 dice and pin markers and templates, all of that is still going to be there. Warlord has also stated that they won't be doing any more updates for 2nd edition. That's not really surprising considering pre-order is going up in a couple of months and then the main release is going to be in about 5 months. I think they're looking more to the future rather than trying to fix anything left in 2nd edition. That makes sense. They've also done a big FAQ recently, so I don't think anyone's too surprised by that. Now that covers the information in the main article, but Warlord Games has put out 2 key posts on their Instagram page as well. Firstly, Warlord has said that their current starter sets, Band of Brothers, A Gentleman's War and Iron Assault, are going to start having stickers on the front of them which say new edition coming soon. If your box set has that sticker on the front, then you will be able to claim a free copy of the 3rd edition rulebook when it goes on pre-order in July. This is such a Giga Chad maneuver by Warlord Games, and I love it. It shows such care and attention to the consumer, and I'm not just wanking them off here. Like, genuinely, you wouldn't see this from other companies. You wouldn't see this from like Games Workshop, for example, who basically release a codex and 3 months later then say you can't use it. Warlord Games has said, look, we have these starter sets out there right now. We know some of you are going to want to get into the game. You're not going to want to wait for the edition to come around. Like, often the sensible thing to do is wait for all the information, but they know their audience. They know wargamers. Like, look, these guys want to buy stuff. We don't want them to stop buying things. We want to encourage the hype, not stifle the hype. And so you know what? Go out there, get into the game, get your Band of Brothers set, your Gentleman's War and Assault, get them, start building your minis, and don't worry about the fact that part of the cost of that box includes a rulebook. Don't worry about it. We got you, fam. You've paid for a rulebook, you'll get a bloody rulebook. You'll get the proper rulebook and it'll be great. And so I really like this move from Warlord Games. It shows some proper good customer service. But wait, there's more, because Warlord Games went one step further. They put out a subsequent post that said, even if you have one of these star sets and it doesn't have a sticker or a redemption code on it, as long as you bought it after April 12th, they will honor the rule book redemption deal. Basically, if there's a copy of Band of Brothers or another starter set that is sat in your hobby shop right now, and you're thinking of getting into action, but you want the new book, and you think, well, that's been there for ages, it's not got the sticker on it, don't panic. Warlord are like, come on in, get the game, son, don't worry about it. We know that was produced well before we announced this deal, but the whole point of this is we want to encourage you to start bolt action, want you to not worry about the whole rulebook thing, so get that box set, and even though it could have been produced years before we had this idea for this deal, it doesn't matter. As long as you buy it after April 12th, it's not an issue whatsoever. We will swap out that. We will give you a free copy of that 3rd edition rulebook. That is going above and beyond the Call of Duty as far as I'm concerned. But that just about covers it all. Bolt Action 3rd edition is coming. It's going to have new rules. There's going to be new army books. It's going to have a lot of the same stuff that we love, but there's going to be a lot of new things to get us excited. And Warlord Games have gone above and beyond when it comes to encouraging people into the game with their customer service and their starter sets. Overall, I can just say I'm so excited. I have been loving Bolt Action for many years now. I cover it regularly on this channel, and I cannot wait for 3rd edition to come out and to start playing some games and doing some battle reports and all of that amazing stuff. I am just hyped AF. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Post your current #1 wish, your prayer for Bolt Action Legend. What do you want to fix? What new things do you want to see? And let me know what hobby projects you have got going right now to prepare for the new phase of war. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian Glory Hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Marcus Roberts, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously, guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video. And of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.